Sound, Mind, and Body is supported by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/inbound.
I can't be there with you to knock the cupcake out of your mouth, but I'm one step away from that. But, I think that it's important. I like to educate my clients so that they understand why they're doing what they're doing. And then I basically hold their hand as best that I can and as much as they'll allow to guide them through it until they feel like they can stand on their own.
Hello, and welcome to Sound, Mind, and Body, a podcast where we talk about the many different ways to stay healthy, balanced, and well of mind, body, and spirit in today's crazy world with a dash of woo-woo. I'm your host, Sheila Melody, and today we're going back to prep school. Food prep school, that is. If you've ever tried to change your eating habits, whether it be to lose weight or just get healthier, you most likely realize how important it is to prep your food, and also how difficult it can be to sustain that. My guest today is an expert at it, and she's going to give us some great tips and tricks on food prep. Diana Hufford is a certified personal trainer and health and wellness coach who helps people live healthier, happier, and more balanced lives. Welcome, Diana.
Hi, Sheila. I'm happy to be here.
So happy you're here.
Yay.
So we've known each other for years. So you're a personal trainer in the same strength training method that I do. So how did you get into being a personal trainer?
Yeah. So I actually came in as a client. I had a friend who was getting certified to do this type of training, and she needed practice clients.
Okay.
And so she coerced me to come in and offered me 6 weeks of training for free.
Nice.
And so I tried it, and within those 6 weeks, I felt my body so different than I had ever felt it before. It was, and I've been athletic my whole life, but this was just a deeper training into my muscles, and I was hooked. And then coincidentally, the gym that she was going to be working at wanted to hire some other trainers, and I was not happy in my current job. I was working for a motivational speaker and not enjoying it.
Oh, really?
And I just decided to jump in and get certified, and it's been amazing ever since.
So that was about almost how many years ago? Almost 10 years ago?
Almost 10 years ago.
Wow. That's so great. Yeah, I got certified about 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. So you were before me. But that's how I met you. And then as we've gotten to know each other, you actually had subbed for me before at my studio too, which was great. So then how did you get into becoming a nutritional health coach? What's that story?
So I had been suffering from insomnia, from anxiety, from worsening fatigue and joint pain for basically my entire adult life.
Oh my goodness.
And not realizing that it was not normal.
Yeah.
And so I hit a breaking point in 2015. I hit my all-time low. I found myself, I was burning the candle at both ends. I was working a lot. I was building my personal training business. I was just doing a lot of extracurricular things. And I just hit my breaking point. And I found I was coming home every single day, exhausted in a way I had never been exhausted before. I was collapsing on the floor, sobbing, just wondering if I would ever feel normal again.
Oh my gosh.
And a friend of mine pointed out that this is not normal. Most people don't feel this way.
Right. It's like, hello.
Yeah. So I realized, because this is how I had felt.
You just were powering through every day.
This is what you do when you're a busy person.
It's true.
So I reached out to a friend of mine who I had seen, sharing information about this clean eating program that she had done that she loved. And honestly, I really didn't expect to get much out of it because I thought I was a healthy person. I, had been coaching clients for the last, I guess this was 6 years ago. Uh-huh. And I thought I knew what to eat. I thought I knew how to eat healthy. I cooked all my own meals. other diets. I
Right.
try everything because I want to know what it's like so I can, share things with my clients. And I had done cleanses. So I really didn't expect to get much out of this. But I started her clean eating program. And on day 10, I woke up and I had more energy than I've ever had in my entire adult life.
Oh my gosh.
It was shocking. And the light bulb went on that there was something special about this program. So I continued it for 28 days. And during that time, I started sleeping better. My joint pain started to decrease. I just felt lighter. I lost almost 10 pounds when I didn't even realize I really needed to lose weight, but my inflammation was so high. And I just felt amazing. And I decided I needed to share this program with everybody. And so I just started sharing it with my friends and family and incorporating it into with my personal training clients.
So didn't you say you had like pain in your joints and in your hands and stuff, and you just thought, okay, this is just what I'm going to have to do? I mean, you're in your 30s, so, and that made that pain go away. Mm-hmm. Everything went away,
yep.
Right?
I'd gotten tested. I mean, I thought I must have RA, and I do have an autoimmune illness, but I thought everything was worse than it really was. And on paper, on my blood results, there was just nothing really there.
It wasn't showing up anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing things like this these days where it's just kind of a, ambiguous. I don't feel good. I'm tired. I've got some pain. And they just deal with it.
Mm-hmm. But it's amazing how much nutrition can solve.
Wow. Yeah. And I've been the beneficiary of your clean eating program. I think I need to do it again, by the way, because, I had a nutritionist last year and that was really great. And then you get busy again. And now it's time for another reset, mm-hmm. Because I feel like I'm better than I was last year, but now I just need to take it up another rung on the ladder. So, and then so you began working with your clients and working with people. And do you just basically let the clients say what, do you just talk to them and say, what is your issue? And then you kind of design it for them, or they put them all in the same thing and then just say, how do you help them with this process?
Yeah. So I have a phone call before we even start, and I find out their goals. I want to know, what do they want to get out of this program? I want to know what's worked for them in the past and what hasn't worked. And I want to know what their obstacles are. Do they work long hours and they don't have time to cook food? Do they fall off the wagon on the weekends because they're out and about with their kids? Do they struggle not being able to drink, every day they want to come home and have a martini?
Right.
What are the issues that we're going to face? I'd like to find as many of them out in advance as possible. And then we go from there. And it's not always a perfect system. A lot of times we're refining things as we go. Mm-hmm. But what I love about this program is that it's very simple. It's very easy to follow. And it's very customizable.
Yeah. And that the great part about it is you have these, the program, the 28 days where you can kind of clean out and clear out and kind of figure out where you are. But you have to prep your food. You have to still make your own meals.
Yes.
So you have developed this amazing food prep guidelines, which I have found whenever I've done this in the past. It doesn't matter if I'm working with a nutritionist, if I was doing your program or whatever. The food prep always proves to be the biggest challenge for me. I might do okay one week and then nothing the other week, and I'm scrambling, and then I'll get it together and do it again. And, so help with that. How do we get that under control and get it to a place where it's manageable and sustainable?
Yeah. And you are not alone. That is so normal. I mean, we always have these ebbs and flows with our food prep, even with people who have been doing this for years and years.
So what are let's talk, you have a great document here that we're going to offer to the listeners. Mm-hmm. And it's like your top 10 tricks on food prep.
Yeah. So those are my top 10 tricks and tips. A lot of them are probably not things a lot of them are things that you've heard before.
Right.
This is not all new information because there's only so many things that you can do to food prep, but I think having them all in one place and hopefully, you'll read this and being reminded of them, and you'll see something new or hear something in a different way that will help.
You do have to constantly remind yourself. And the bottom line is, it's like you have to keep going back to it because it's what you have to do to be successful. If you want to stay on the good eating program, you have to have good food to eat, you know, available to you.
Yes.
So let's go over a few of those. One of the things that you had in there was pick 2 days. So explain that one.
So this is what I do. It's what's kept me, healthy through all of these things and through my busy schedule. I find that it's easiest if you can pick 2 days during the week to do the bulk of your cooking, your prepping, however you're going to do it. I actually sit and I cook, and I will cook for a few hours on those 2 days because I don't mind leftovers. I like to have everything done. I'm just too busy during the week. I will not eat healthy or well if it's not prepared.
Right.
Because I just don't have time most nights when I get home from work. So, one of those days is generally on the weekend. One of those days will be during the week when you don't have, too much scheduled. And ideally, if you can, get your cooking done those weeks. If not, at least cut up vegetables, marinate your meats, prep as much as you can those days so that when you are short for time, you're ready to go.
Throw it together. Yeah, that's what I think some of the things, like I would do is just get the salad, get the greens, like I get different types of greens and cabbage and this and that, and then I'll put it all together and at least mix that all up and then have that in the fridge ready to go to pull on, if I want to have a salad, I can just pull that lettuce out. I don't have to put the whole thing together with 5 different bags open and
Exactly.
stuff. So that's a good thing. Okay, so pick 2 days. Like, what days do you pick?
So I usually do Sunday and Thursday or Monday and Thursday, depending on my schedule.
Depending on your schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, and how many hours? Because I used to this is a good tip because I used to do one day, right? On like Sundays, let's say. I used to try to prep everything for the week.
Yeah, and then you're so exhausted.
Well, it would take me like 4 hours.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It would take me 4 hours, and that's not including the shopping. And you would just be cooking and this and that, and you put everything in the fridge, and I got all those the little fit packer things to put the meals in. By Wednesday, I'm sick of eating that food. You're just like, ugh, I can't eat that anymore.
Yes.
So this is a good tip. And you just prep for a couple days and then prep for a couple more days.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah. And it shouldn't take you very long. I mean, as you start doing this and as you're cooking more and prepping more, you will figure out other shortcuts that work for you that take the time down. So when I started doing this, it would take me 4 hours to prep my day. Now it's, 2 to 3 hours.
Now, what about like the food choices? Do you just get simple? Do you stay simple with it? I think that's one of your tips.
Yeah,
right?
I do. I keep it simple, especially on days when I know that there's not going to be a lot of time. So maybe I'll come up with something fancy on the weekend when I have more time.
Right.
But during the week, it's very simple. I pick things that are easy to mix and match. I keep the recipes very basic, but I also don't mind that. If you're somebody who, needs to eat fancy, this is definitely going to be more challenging.
Right, for sure. And do you stick to the same meals? Or do you try to mix it up?
I do mix it up because I think it's important for our nutrition to have a variety of foods when possible. But depending on the week, I'm a creature of habit and I can eat sometimes the same thing week to week. Like I have a chili recipe that I love that's simple and fast, and I can, make it and freeze some of it so that I have leftovers.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And that's something that I don't really get tired of.
Right. So you could prep it. You use it for a couple days during that week and then store the rest, freeze it, and then bring it in when you are having an extra busy week.
Yes.
Okay, so another tip you have is use shortcuts. So what's that?
Yes. So this is one of my favorite ones, and this is one a lot of people I've found haven't thought about. It can be a little bit more expensive because you are buying pre-cut veggies, you're buying, rotisserie chicken that's already made, but you're using the health food stores or your grocery store as kind of your prep.
They're your food prep.
They're your food prep.
So they've already prepped it to some extent. So buying that chicken that's already baked, and then you can use that. And the pre-washed salads, I do that. Homemade dressing. Yeah, I do use my own homemade dressing, but that's another thing I have to prep.
And that's relatively easy.
But I love the frozen rice. That is a great thing.
So fast.
That is amazing thing. Just microwave. Hard-boiled eggs, another great thing.
Yes. And they're really easy to make. I mean, I do fix them at home all the time, but you can buy them in a bag when you're short on time.
You can.
And they're already cooked.
That's true. Okay, that's a great tip. And while we're on the subject of hard-boiled eggs, one of your other tips is to prep snacks. And I use hard-boiled eggs as a snack when I do prep them. It's a great snack. So tell us some more ideas about the snacks and why that's so important.
Yeah, so these are often overlooked, and snacks are just as important as your meals, because for those of us that eat in between our meals, if you don't have snacks ready, you're going to get hungry, your blood sugar is going to drop, and you're going to make bad choices. So I like to prep my snacks the same way I prep my meals. I cut up veggies, I have them ready with hummus. I have nuts portioned out if I'm, portioning out, things like that. I cut up my fruit and have that portioned out. I just like to prep everything.
One of my very favorite snacks that you told me about last year or the year before or something is the brown rice cake, or the little thin rice.
With the thin
stackers with some avocado and a slice of tomato and some salt. Oh my God. It is so good.
I know. I'm obsessed with that. I could eat it every day.
That's me too. I could. And you're right, because your blood sugar starts to go, and then you start to make bad choices when you eat.
Pick your cookies and
yeah,
candy.
Exactly.
Yep.
So get those snacks prepped. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're talking about a very interesting subject. Forget about the food. You're going to tell us about some interesting gadgets to use.
Hey, it's Tim Edwards with the Inbound Podcasting Network and producer of Sound, Mind, and Body. Just the fact that you're listening to the Sound, Mind, and Body podcast tells us that you enjoy consuming your content through your ears. Now, if you're a podcast listener, you're a perfect fit to enjoy audiobooks. So for you, our listeners and official members of Sheila's woo-woo community, Audible is offering you a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial to check out their awesome service. Give it a shot. You've got nothing to lose. It's absolutely free for 30 days, and you get a free audiobook to keep even if you don't continue with the subscription. Support Sound, Mind, and Body by visiting audibletrial.com/inbound. That's audibletrial.com/inbound. We'll include a link in the show notes, or just click the Audible banner at soundmindbodypodcast.com.
On the next episode of Sound, Mind, and Body, we speak to Ian Morris, multi-instrumentalist, artist, and intuitive healer who created Listening to Smile to explore frequencies as a tool to facilitate harmony of mind, body, and spirit. That's next week on Sound, Mind, and Body. Okay, we're back and we're talking to Diana Hufford, a certified health and wellness coach and personal trainer. And before the break, we were talking about a lot of food prep tips that she has, but one of her tips is to use gadgets. So tell us about that tip.
Yes. So I love gadgets in the kitchen. They can be incredible time savers when you pick the right ones. So it's easy to just buy whatever gadget you see in the middle of the night off of the television, but those aren't always going to be the most helpful.
Ronco, Chomperama.
I've definitely wasted a lot of money on those.
Yes.
But I've also spent good money on ones that have been very helpful. So, I have on my website a whole list of the ones that I love and use on a regular basis, but a couple of my go-tos are an Instant Pot, which
What's an Instant Pot?
So an Instant Pot is basically a pressure cooker. Mm-hmm. It's a new version of your mom's old pressure cooker. But
like
it also,
pot, or?
Yeah, well, a pressure cooker is quicker.
Oh,
so what it does
yes.
is it cooks the food under pressure in a fraction of the time that a slow cooker without losing the nutrients. So it's incredibly healthy, but much quicker. So if you get home from work and you have 20 minutes to get food on the table, you can still, have an amazing meal that's all in one pot that you use the pressure cooker for.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yes. If you do not have one already, that is my number one favorite gadget.
Okay.
The other things that I've learned over the years, it took me a long time to buy a nice knife, which is crazy. And now I think about it and I can't believe I waited years perfect.
Right.
Using horrible knives that I thought were good.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had a client that recommended this knife, and I think it was less than $10. And it is just a high quality chef's knife.
And it's made your life.
It makes my life so much easier just to be able, with how much cutting up of, fruits and veggies I do.
Okay. A good knife. Mm-hmm. What else?
Let's see. Lots of glass storage is really important.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, if you're going to be cooking a lot, you need to have good quality storage. I prefer glass over plastic, but whatever you have, just make sure you've got lots of it and lots of different sizes.
And you have some recommendations on your website of what to go. Okay, good. I'm going to go get some more of those.
Yeah.
And a dicer. Yeah. I mean, I have this dicer, but it just seems like so much trouble to get it out and put it together and then clean it and everything. You must have an easier one.
I mean, it's not the simplest thing, but it's a 3-piece system. It has changed my life for onions because I'm one of those people that I sob.
You cry. Me too.
Sob. And I used to wear goggles and my wife makes so much fun of me, but I would wear goggles when I'm cutting up onions. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't do that anymore because instead I put it into the quick chopper and it just chops and dices.
And you're not
so
crying in the kitchen
I'm not crying in the kitchen anymore.
I was crying in the kitchen too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so food processor.
Yeah,
that's one.
I like a good food processor. I mean, if you have a blender that you like, if you don't do a ton of, sauces, you don't necessarily need a good food processor. I didn't buy one for a while, but now that I have one, I use it all the time, and it really is worth the money. I also have a high quality peeler that I love, which was another thing. It just doesn't cost very much.
Yeah.
But it surprisingly makes such a huge difference when you have one that's actually sharp.
That works. Yeah, exactly.
It's these things that you just don't realize that you've been living without, that you needed until you actually
and you're like,
have it.
That's why they have these things.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then, some pots, just a few different sized pots. Depending on how many people you're cooking for, how big your family is, but having a couple of, saucepans and stock pots.
And what's an instant read meat thermometer?
Oh, that's if you're cooking meat, it's just a quick read. The thermometer tells you what temperature the meat's at instantly. So it's really quick. So you know that you're cooking your poultry to temp or your fish to temp.
Or pork or whatever you might be cooking. So, okay. We've got all these tips on meal prepping for ourselves. Let's say somebody's like, I just can't do this. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about meal delivery options. That's the other thing. If you really just do not have the time, but you have a very, maybe you have the money to actually do the meal delivery. So what are some of those options? I've done a couple of them. And I found it, interesting. There's a lot of different meal delivery options now. So what are the ones that you have experience with?
Yeah, there are so many. And the ones that I've used, I can't say are necessarily better than the others. I just like them for me.
Right.
And I have tried a lot.
Yes.
The one that I'm preferring right now is Sunbasket.
Sunbasket. Okay.
And the reason that I like it is because of the choices.
And this is not an ad.
No, this is not an ad. I am not being paid by Sunbasket.
Right.
But I like them because they have healthy choices, but they also have comfort food. They have vegetarian choices. They have meat-based choices. I think they probably also have vegan choices. And I like it because it's even more customizable beyond that. So then you can now pick what quality meat you want. So everything is generally organic based on their availability. Mm-hmm. But say you pick a meal that has chicken in it. Well, you have the choice of organic. I think they have a choice of just antibiotic free, and then you can choose, organic chicken breast or organic chicken thighs. Oh. It usually allows you to customize with 3 different choices. So, if it's a seafood dish and maybe it's the base choice is salmon, you can also pick scallops instead or shrimp instead. It depends on the recipe, but they give you a lot of options, which is important for people who are dealing with dietary restrictions or have, health concerns. So they have a lot of gluten-free and dairy-free and paleo version.
And can you choose, I only want this 3 days a week, or I want this, only lunches or only dinners?
You can pick from 2 to 4 recipes a week, and that's going to be for 2 people.
So you actually cooking it?
You do. You actually cook this. Okay. Now, I've also done meal delivery services where they prepare the food and ship it to you and all you have to do is warm it up.
Right.
And those are a lot more expensive.
They are more expensive.
But they are more convenient for sure.
Yeah.
The reason I also love Sunbasket is because they have a lot of recipes now that are only 20 minutes. So generally their recipes take you 30 to 45 minutes to cook, but they have a handful of recipes that are a 20-minute quick meal.
Oh, nice.
Or just a one-pot meal.
Right.
Which just simplifies everything when
but you have all the ingredients right there. You don't have to go to the store. Oh, I forgot saffron. You know,
so it saves you that trip to the grocery store, which saves you time. It saves you from throwing out waste.
Yeah, because it's just enough.
Exactly. It's just enough for what you need. Sometimes there's a little left over, but it's not like you're going to the grocery store and buying a whole head of broccoli and only using half and letting the rest of it go to waste, or going to the grocery store, buying a head of broccoli and never cooking it. That's the other thing.
Right. That happens a lot with me. That's why I buy frozen broccoli.
Yes. And it also saves you having to figure out what you want to cook. You know, I love it. I will order and have it for 3 nights of my week.
Okay.
And then the other nights, I'll go out one night, and then the other 3 nights I'll figure out something that I want to cook that's
you
simple.
Prep. Mm-hmm. So, what was the one that I just did? I did it last year, another meal prep that you had recommended.
Was it Green Chef?
Oh, it might have been Green Chef.
Green Chef is also pretty healthy. They just don't let you customize it as much.
Right.
And I love Gobble also. It's just not as healthy, but Gobble guarantees, I believe it's 10-minute meals. And I was doing that for a while before I was really worrying about too much what the ingredients were. But Gobble it's fast. If you don't really care health-wise what you're getting, it's quick.
I mean, I did the Green Chef where I got all the ingredients and I like cooked it, and I felt like this, gourmet chef when I was cooking this stuff, because it was like never anything that I would ever throw together, So that was really kind of fun. So I think it's a great idea to think about mixing it up and having a few nights where you have these meals that are already all the ingredients that you can be cooking, because then you can learn to enjoy cooking rather than just it's just such a chore to get your food together and to prep your food and everything.
Yeah, and they explain, the steps are very simple, easy to follow, and you have the recipe there so that if you like the meal, you can save that recipe and you can recreate it on your own. You know exactly what's going into it. It's not these mystery sauces. I mean, maybe the amounts that are going into the sauce are a little not well explained, but you can figure it out to recreate it.
This is all wonderful. So the other day, we just briefly, before we get to you and your sound, mind, and body questions, I just wanted to touch on the topic of intermittent fasting because this is becoming a big trending topic now. And what do you have to say about that?
So I think it depends on the person, whether it's going to be right for you. I mean, that's really the case with any diet or food choice. But with intermittent fasting, it's definitely interesting. I've tried it myself. I liked it when I was doing it. And it can mean so many different things. I mean, the amount that you're fasting really varies. So with intermittent fasting, basically you are eating for a period of time during the day and fasting for a period of time. So with the clean eating program that I do, we do a 12-hour fast. We will stop eating after dinner and then fast for about 12 hours before breakfast. So that's included in my program.
Okay.
But everybody's a little bit different. Some people do a longer fast. They will fast for 18 hours. Some people do a full day fast, for periods of time. But it really just depends. But it can definitely be helpful depending on what your issues are and what you're going through health-wise.
But it can also be tricky, right?
It can also be tricky and it can be harmful. So that's why it's one of those things that I don't recommend people do without, really understanding what it is that they've already got going on, what it is that they're going to be doing, and possibly working with a doctor.
Or having a coach. I mean, that's what the last thing we'll talk about is how important it is to have a coach during this process, during a health, when you're trying to change your habits and everything. And that's what you do, right? You coach people through, you help them through this whole process of, staying on track and I think that's a really valuable thing that people think, oh, I can do this. I know what to do. That's what everybody says. I know what to do. And you're like, yeah, but are you doing it?
Yes. Now, I can't be there with you to knock the cupcake out of your mouth. But I'm one step away from that. But, I think that it's important. I like to educate my clients so that they understand why they're doing what they're doing. And then I basically hold their hand as best that I can and as much as they'll allow to guide them through it until they feel like they can stand on their own.
Right. Well, that's so wonderful. We could probably talk for 2 hours about all this stuff, but everybody should go to your website, and we'll put the link in the show notes, but it's dianahufford.com. And now I want to talk to you about you. So how do you stay of sound mind and body in your life besides all this food prep and clean eating that you're doing?
Mm-hmm. So this is definitely a work in progress with me.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to do too much and be an overachiever. But I try every morning, prayer is very important for me in my life. And I try every morning to sit down with my daily devotional or some sort of reading to spend quiet time before I get started with the day. And that's very important for my mind and for just grounding me into the day so that I'm not as easily distracted by, all the distractions. I also try to get outside and hike as much as I can because for me, being outside in nature, I spend so much time inside in the gym that being outside really helps with my mind. And then, if I haven't had enough sleep, I take a nap.
Oh, I like that.
I love naps.
Take a nap. That is so important. It's true. It's like we are always going.
Yep.
Nobody takes naps anymore.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to be better about disconnecting from my phone and not checking. I turned off notifications so I don't get notifications when I get a new email. I don't get notifications when Facebook, tells me it wants me to, log in. So
right.
That all helps.
That is a good thing. That's a great tip. Okay, so what's a favorite sound?
So I have two favorite sounds right now, and I have two cats. They're about a year old, and they're very cute in their own ways. And so my little man, my one male cat, he doesn't have a voice, and so he just squeaks.
Aww.
But it's the cutest thing ever. And then our little girl, Tigra, she is tiny and she has this little pitter patter when she runs after you, and she'll follow me around the house, and she's on our wood floor. She just like pitter patters with her paws, and it's just the cutest.
Oh my God. Ever. I love that. That is adorable.
I love my cats.
Oh gosh. Me too. I'm totally a cat person. Okay. Favorite memory.
So I got married in March, and the memory that's still sticking with me is when we stepped out we walked ourselves together down the aisle. And when I stepped out to start walking down the aisle, I just saw all of my friends and family turned facing me, and seeing them and their love and their support. I will never forget it.
That
it was just
so
the
beautiful.
most amazing moment.
How cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful moment. I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite place?
So my favorite place right now is North Carolina. I go with my family every year. My sister has a beach house, and we go to this place in North Carolina called Oak Island. And it is very quiet and relaxing. It's kind of out of the way of the main tourist area, and we usually go later in the summer when it's calming down anyway. And it's my happy place. I can just sit on the beach and read a book or stare at the ocean or, drink up here. Let's be honest, that is not the week that I'm meal prepping and eating healthy.
Yeah, right. Hey, that's all part of
it is all part of life.
Staying balanced,
exactly.
Right? You got to relax once in a while. That sounds beautiful. Okay, so the final question. What's the most woo-woo thing you've ever done?
Okay, so I kind of grew up woo-woo, so I've had several experiences, but do I have time? Can I give a little story?
Sure.
Okay, so, we just had a group reading with Marla, and that was definitely very woo-woo last week.
Marla Fries, who I had on a prior episode.
Yes, but before that, so my previous cat, Daisy, was very sick before she passed away, and we had a Reiki woman come to our house who works with animals and does Reiki on animals.
Oh.
So she came over, she did Reiki on Daisy, told us a little bit about what was going on. I think she did Reiki on both me and my wife at the time too. And after that, Daisy passed away not long after that. And so we had this woman back to do Reiki on just us to help clear out the energy. And while she was doing my Reiki session, she said Daisy came and was on the bed with her. She saw Daisy, and Daisy was showing her 2 cats. And it was a black and a white cat, and then a brown and a black cat, and then a white and a gray cat. And I thought, that's odd, but okay.
Yeah.
And so we waited a few months, and then we decided that we were really lonely in the house and we were going to foster. So we fostered 4 cats and eventually got 2 of them adopted out, and then decided to keep 2 of them. And then months after we adopted them, we realized, okay, there's 2 cats, and they are black, brown, gray, and white. They're just a mix of color.
Oh my gosh.
So I thought that was pretty woo-woo that my dead cat showed up to my Reiki person to give us a future that we were going to adopt these cats.
You know, oh my gosh. Yeah. That is really cool. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I have to get the name of your Reiki person.
Oh, she's amazing.
So she does animals and people.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. So, well, that's it for this episode. And I really appreciate you stopping by, honey. This has been so much great information. Everybody needs to, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can go on my website. It's dianahufford.com. And you can find me on Instagram. It's Diana's Dreams with a Z. DianasDreamz.
And you have a special offer for our listeners too.
Offer. So if you are interested in doing my clean eating challenge, my clean eating boot camp, whatever you want to call it, I am going to be offering a free gift. It's up to a $98 value for everybody who signs up. And you can contact me on my website to find out more.
And should they say they were sent by Sound Mind and Body?
Yes, please do.
Good. Well, I'm going to take advantage of that free offer. I want to do the clean eating again. I think I've been re-inspired by you once again, Diana. And you're a very inspiring person, changing people's lives. And I'm very happy to know you.
Thank you. I'm happy to know you too.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's it for this episode. And wow, that was a lot of great information on how to prep your meals. Let us know how you do it. Do you have any tips that you do that keep you eating clean? Email us or send us a voicemail at soundmindbodypodcast@gmail.com. And thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like the podcast, give us a review on iTunes. It really helps new listeners find us. Thank you to our producer, Tim Edwards, and the Inbound Podcasting Network. And thank you so much to our guest, Diana Hufford. Get in touch. I'm on Instagram at Sound Mind Body Podcast, or find us on Facebook or the web. Search for Sound Mind Body Podcast. I'm Sheila Melody. Join us next week as we explore, enlighten, and evolve.